Hello everyone, welcome back. It's Buildin' Big with City Skylines, episode 52. I'm Enigmas, and today we're continuing with our experiment. It may not look like it's going so well at first glance, but it's actually doing not too badly. Our agricultural district is doing reasonably well. It's got some abandoned farms, or not abandoned, but farms that don't have enough workers. But there's a lot more farms that do have enough workers and are producing than farms that don't have enough workers. So we're going to keep going with that. We've managed to get our residential demand from no demand to low demand, which is kind of an improvement, a very necessary improvement. One of the things that we will have the option to do is expand it further by putting residential zones in the tiles on the outer edge of the circle here. That would probably help us to address the shortage of workers for the remaining farms. And then we can hopefully just kind of leave this guy alone. Not have to worry too much about it. Just let it do its thing. It's going to produce the stuff that they produce. We've got pigs, we've got cows, we've got plants, we've got all kinds of stuff. Put it on the trains, ship it off. Bob's your uncle. Over here, still suffering from a shortage of goods. That's kind of the thing. People are ready to go, but they don't have anything to make because they don't have any goods to make it. Our commercial area doesn't have enough customers. Our residential area hasn't filled out yet, and just like the agricultural area, we have this whole outer ring that we can zone when we have the demand for it. So we're going to keep an eye on it, but for right now what I want to do is get more raw materials into this district, and the way to do that is to set up another resource-specific district, I think. That's what we're going to try. We've also got a bunch of abandoned buildings through the city proper. They're all basically commercial, and what I've been doing is I kind of go through and I bulldoze all of the abandoned buildings, and then I just let it go, and then they kind of build back up, and then they get abandoned again. Bulldoze them. Eventually, if we can get the other smaller isolated districts right, this issue should take care of itself. That's the plan. So I'm looking at it now, and sometimes people would see that and they think, I have to flip out and do something immediately to fix this. I'm just going to leave it. Like I say, a bulldoze as necessary, because this is kind of making some people unhappy when you've got this many abandoned buildings in your city. But as far as trying to change things, try and change the balance before we've run the experiment into the ground, it's not really necessary. I think a little bit of patience is more useful than overly aggressive bulldozing at this point. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to put a forestry area up in here, because we've got lots of trees. We've got the train line right here, so that's kind of convenient. And then all we really need to do is run water and power from the city proper across the river and into there, and we should be good to go. So just for giggles, I decided to go with a slightly different stamp this time around, not because I had to, but because I wanted to. And sometimes that's the best reason to do things. It's got a little bit more detail in the road work. It's got a really, really awful bunch of intersections in the middle of town, but it looks a little bit different. We're going to give it a try. But for right now, what we have to do is get the train set up. If we can get the train connection set up and it goes smoothly, then everything else is butter. I think we're too close. I think we're just too damn close. We might have to do a little bit of clever rearranging in order to make it work, which is sometimes not a bad thing. Sometimes it's bloody awful. But that's kind of the way it is. Let's see, what can we do? Yeah, it's okay. So we're just gonna, when all else fails, change the world to suit your own designs. Something, wisdom of the ages. Now I have to figure out what we want to do to reconnect all this stuff. So we can go like so. We'll do kind of a bendy sort of thing. It's a very aggressive bendy sort of thing. And we'll do another bendy sort of thing. like so. And then we'll do a straight kind of thing along that way. Then we'll finish it off with, oops, a pair of bendy kind of things that look sort of like that. And then lastly, we'll go like so. And like so. It's not the prettiest thing I've ever done, but it should work, and that's kind of the important thing. So now, as usual, we're going to get the stamps inner workings taken care of with all the stuff that doesn't work so well with this particular stamp because everything is at curves and weird angles. That's fine. It's not absolutely critical. So what we can actually do is we'll move this guy back and we'll kind of tuck him off wherever we can. There's a spot, and just because there's a spot, we'll get the clinic. Put the clinic there and the obligatory crematorium. Actually, can we tuck it in here? Oh, we can. Yes, there we go. What else do we want? We want garbage. We want the incinerator. Now this is where we have to be a little bit cautious. Because this is going to be forestry, and forestry doesn't generate pollution. And I'm not sure if pollution impacts production for forestry. So I don't want the pollution from the incinerator necessarily having very much of an impact on the industry that's going on here. So we're going to put it here. No, most of the pollution is off. Oh, crap. No, that's no good, because then it's pollution going in the river, and then the river is going to flow down here, and this is where we've got our inflow pipes, our pumps that are feeding water to the rest of the city. Well, at least we kind of caught it before it was an absolute disaster. So we're going to relocate it. Still, the majority of the pollution is going to be outside the circle, which is the important part of this whole shenanigan. By setting it up over here, we're getting, yes, that should be not bad. Then what we can do is we can put all of our commercial in here, because commercial doesn't really care so much about pollution, and then we can do industrial and residential, the other 3/4. That ought to be suitable to some extent. Now we extend the water supply. It always seems odd to be piping water under a river. Especially when that river is the source of the water to begin with. We'll just kind of run it up here. Whoop. What are you trying to tell me there, water? Oh, I see. I think I was overlapping pipes. This guy, just a little bit there. And that power lines. That's good. That's good. That's good. And that's good. I think. Let's do an elementary school for all the people living out in the forest. Right next to the clinic. Alright, so now we have no demand for commercial, or hardly any. What we do need to do is specify that this is going to be one of those specialized districts. So we're just going to kind of go like this. And again, if it's kind of wonky, if it's too big, too small, we can adjust it later. It's not a big deal. Kind of like that. And then it's going to be forest. And the zoning continues. the never-ending war. We'll just kind of get down in here. We'll leave the middle for now. We don't necessarily need to extend into there. Some nice-sized tracts of land, but realistically, we're kind of breaking them all up a little on the small side. And because there's going to be some demand, there's already some demand, but there's going to be more, I think, when people start working in the area. They might want a place to hang their hat, so to speak. Yeah, let's not push our luck too much. But what we can do is extend this. I'm just trying to make sure that the power is going to extend to all the places that want and or need it. And now, that's bugging me. That's just, I can't. I have to fix it. Very quickly. Train tracks. Straight and that's a bit better. A little bit better. There we go. And we'll crank up the speed a bit. Whatever's happening in the rest of the city is going to happen. We're not going to worry about it too much. But we do want to kind of keep an eye on everything over here. Make sure that everything that is supposed to have power has power. Water, all those other things. And once we get some industrial going here and pushing back towards the residential, that's when the power should spread to all these guys here. So it's not a problem yet. It's going to be this connection here, the middle to the back. Our demand for everything is really, really low. It's like hardly any demand at all. But that's okay. Things are slowly spreading. This guy just sprung up. If we can get some guys in. There we go. Look at that. All the power is spread through the beginnings of the residential area. The trains seem to be having an easy enough time. Here comes one. Let's see. We'll just kind of watch him. He just looped around and went the other way. Thanks. Thanks, Mr. Train. Appreciate it. Appreciate the business. Yeah, they can bypass it easy enough. It'll be a little while before we're actually producing anything that the trains are going to be able to pick up. But we've already got some vehicles on the roads picking up garbage. That's all we've got vehicles for. And the residential demand has increased yet again. So we're going to hedge our bets and put all of the residential shenanigans right in here. And look at that, all looking for workers. Nobody to work. There's all these people living here, but they don't want to go to work. They're too busy building houses, cutting down the trees for themselves and then hauling them off to their property to build a house, but they don't actually go to work in a mill or anything like that. Tree farms, sawmills, lumber yards, all that stuff, it's beneath them. Really, let's actually see. Got two highly educated workers. They didn't want any at all. And those are the only workers that they have. They don't have any other workers. But again, the residential area is just starting to fill in, so it's not surprising that this area down here isn't going to have enough workers because it can't get workers from anywhere else. You see, we've got some trucks coming in here now. I don't know if they're picking up and then planning on taking them to the train yard or if they're dropping things off. Who knows? Who knows what these trucks have in mind? Actually, let's find out. Let's get oh, he's empty now. Returning to facility. It was from the cargo train terminal. And now he's empty, and he's going to pick more stuff up, and then he's going to come around and drop it off at the industrial areas. What are you guys dropping off? Let's see. Importing forestry products to... We're importing forestry products to our forestry industry. Wow. That is fantastic. No wonder nobody wants to work here. It's all backwards. We're importing 2x4s, and we glue them back together into trees. That's what we do here. And then we ship them off somewhere to cut them up into 2x4s again, and it just goes in this great big giant vicious circle. The only people who are making money are the people selling the glue. So that's wow. This whole area, they've all just given up. They're like, we don't even know what to do anymore. Our last glue shipment was late. We've got nothing to do. But like everything else in our city, it's going to be one of those situations, I think, where... actually, we've got some more... Let's fill in a little bit more residential. You need... my recollection is that you need more residential than you do industrial in terms of space occupied in order to provide enough workers. Now that I think about it, that seems to be the case. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to zone a little bit more residential. We're going to let it run. We're going to keep on top of the abandoned buildings here and elsewhere throughout the city. We're going to see what kind of balance we can find without making too many changes. Just, changing the zoning as the situation demands, or expanding the zoning. And then eventually, we'll be on to bigger and better things. We'll be doing other kinds of crazy districts. The idea occurred to me that maybe we could work on some stamps to do expansions for the district. So say the forestry is doing really well, there was continued demand for the forestry, we could add more to this district and still keep it isolated. That was something that I thought of. So there's still lots that we plan on doing, even though it doesn't look like things are working very well now. Sometimes we just got to ride this out. So if you want to be notified when I add the next video, as always, you can subscribe to my channel. You can get notifications by following me on social media. Links for that in the information box below the video. Leave your comments and feedback. Thanks for watching, guys, and take care.